public hearing. Any council members have any questions, any discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules on general ordinance number 21, 2024.
Second.
A motion by Vice President Cowgill, a second by Councilman Brunner. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
No.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine. Yes. Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, rules have been suspended. I would entertain another motion.
Mr. President, I'd now like to make a motion that we pass general ordinance 21, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Vice President Cowgill, second by Councilman Brunner. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine. Yes. Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. General Ordinance 21-2024 has passed. Thank you, Mr. Graft.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Thanks, Mike.
And just a quick note, our live stream went down, so I've started a live stream on my phone. So people at home there are some people watching, I'm just letting them know. We apologize. We're still working through the technical bugs of this new system, but we always have backup with an iPhone, right? All right, moving on to General Ordinance 22-2024, repealing the purchasing ordinance, second reading and public hearing.
An ordinance repealing City of Marion, Indiana purchasing ordinance number 48, 1998. Ordinance 48-1998 imposes limitations that are more restrictive than Indiana statutes on the topic. For example, it requires soliciting of quotes and bidding for items purchased between $25,000 to $50,000. State law allows for purchases that are less than $50,000 without receiving bids. Furthermore, Ordinance 48-1998 requires items to be made in America, which is increasingly difficult to do. Speaking, Corporate Counsel Michael Hawks.
Good afternoon. Always a pleasure to see some bright, shiny faces here after 7 o'clock. So, I guess it's, bottom line, it's our position. A couple things on this. That one, it was something that was many years ago, was never codified, so it's quite frankly questionable whether it was actually ever followed in any shape or form. Second, we think it's a tad bit archaic in that it's a different time, different place. The restriction's much more restrictive than what state statute is. We obviously have inflationary changes, and frankly, the third part that I think is the most archaic about it is that it envisions this regime where I think a lot of things were probably sourced and made in the United States of America, and sadly that's not always the case now. So really to put that burden on the bidding process can be pretty cumbersome and frankly it's difficult to do. I mean, you're going to be asking us to make some pretty extensive findings about why you bought this, how much of it's made in America, and really to figure this thing out, as you know, it's pretty complicated, right? There's components sourced all over the place, how much of it's made in America versus not. It's going to be a burden. Obviously, the city will do it. We're aware of it now at this point in time, and we'll carry forward with it. But I don't think it really solves the problem that we have. If you think about it, most of our purchasing is in some shape or form done with the Board of Works anyways. So we're bringing those things to them, and I can tell you, speak for the team here, we do take our taxpayer dollars seriously. I'm a taxpayer myself here, city resident, and so I really don't see this as something that when we're buying something, our people are doing the due diligence with the internet and Googling things. We're pretty cognizant of those things when we do them. So for those reasons, I think that it's just not really a necessary thing. We're aware of it now, but I don't know if this solves the problem. So glad to take any questions from anybody.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We're just going to go ahead and move into the public hearing, and we can have questions for you. Public hearing is open. You can make your way to the microphone if you'd like. All right, I'm not seeing anyone make their way to the microphone, so I will close the public hearing. And now any council members that have any questions or discussion, feel free.
Yeah, Mr. President, I agree with Michael Hotz, as our attorney. I think that we was kind of talking a while ago about the times. I mean, they passed us, like I said, years ago, $25,000 or less was probably a good amount at that time to get bid. But now 25, 30 years later, I think it's ridiculous. And even our state statute says that it's 50,000 or less, you don't have to have bids. I think that we should repeal this as well.
Thank you. Councilman King.
Mr. President, and also, not a question, but a comment. This original ordinance was created back in the era of when the city of Marion actually had a purchasing agent on staff. I don't know if any of you remember that. But there was a dear lady by the name of Judith Heaton that worked for the city of Marion. A wonderful lady. She did a great job as purchasing agent, and she worked around this ordinance. It gave some restrictions that she had to follow at that time. Of course, cost of living, those percentages have went way up, and so this $25,000 now is in today's dollars is $49,000 or $50,000. So when this was created back when we hired a purchasing agents that followed those rules. Some of us were around. Ms. Goodman was, Mike Graft was here, I was here, but they followed that through the purchasing agent. So it's probably outlived its time.
All right, thank you. Any other council members? Councilman Fordyce.
I think that the 25,000 and above, it says anything 25,000 and above needs to be bid on. And I don't think that that's too low of a limit. I think that I would like to know if we're spending 25,000 and more, that we have competitive bids. I've heard the argument that, well, it costs money to advertise them. Sure, that's the point of it. That way it's competitive and we can save money. If it's just 25,000 or above, that gives them the free access to just buy whatever they want with whoever they want and hire subcontractors up to 50,000 or above. Anything 50,000 and above would have to be bid. I think 25,000 is a good limit. I think it's responsible to our taxpayers that anything over 25,000 should be bid out, and we should get quotes to save the taxpayers money on it. As far as it being codified, is this the only one that's not codified, or did you just pick this one out?
No, Councilmember, to answer your question, we actually didn't pick this out. This was actually found by the clerk. And so I think there might have been a request from somebody or had knowledge.
It was
of
me.
Historical knowledge. Okay, all right.
I pulled it.
Yeah, and so it kind of goes back to, to answer your question, it's a potential problem, because the codification, this was back in 1985, basically the state legislature said, hey, we should start codifying ordinances and put them together in a searchable format. And so what happens is they put a lot of burden on the clerk's office to go back and find all that history. And so some things make it, some things don't. It's a process to codify. I think it would cost the city probably about $30,000 the last time they went through that. So is it possible that there's ordinances on the book that have not made it into the codification? And it is very possible.
Okay, on a legal aspect of it, just because it's not codified, does that mean we don't have to abide by it since it's a law?
Well, so no and yes, you do have a sort of a publication of all any ordinance that has some sort of fine or penalty on it has to be, published in order for it to be enforceable. This doesn't have a fine or penalty on it, but if I was on the other side of this and you don't have it codified by state law and up there, I'm gonna make a due process or, hey, I didn't have notice, but there's no way for me to go find her to look for it. So questionable on the enforcement side.
Okay. As far as the Made in USA, I think we should strive to buy materials and products that are made in the USA. I think that the ordinance could be amended to where that if we've made an effort and we can't get it made in the USA, then purchase it elsewhere with another made someplace else. But I think it's important to try to buy everything that we can in the USA. That's how this country was developed and created, is by entrepreneurs and developers and creators on products. That's what sustains our country. But I don't think that that's too much to ask, is anything over 25,000 be competitively bid. And I would vote no to repeal this.
Thank you, Councilman Fordyce. Any other council members?
One more point, Mr.
Go ahead,
President.
Councilman Kane.
Another thing that I want to, a point that I'll bring up is not only expensive for the city to advertise for bids, slows down the process for actually accomplishing the task, but it's also expensive for the people bidding. Depending upon the type of bids that you're submitting, whether it be this city or other cities and so forth, it's an expensive process. Bid bonds, insurance companies have to get involved and so forth. So that not only on the city side that gets expensive, but on the people on the bidding side, it also gets expensive. So keep that in mind.
Thank you, Councilman Kane. Any other council members? Councilman Marshall.
So in the absence of this, then we will be held to the state law unless we make a new one.
That's correct. So you held to the state law. Otherwise, you could obviously modify it or have some new ordinance there. The default's always the Board of Public Works, by the way, for the purchasing agent. So they're in charge of all personal and real property in the city. So technically, they could also have their own sort of procurement regime that they put in place. But yeah, without something, it's going to default to the state law, which we discussed here today.
Thank you. Any other council members? Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Thank you, Michael. I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we pass General Ordinance number 22. Let me take that back. We'll suspend the rules on General Ordinance number 22, 2024.
I'll second that.
Motion by Councilman Kane to suspend the rules, second by Vice President Cowgill. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
No.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, rules have been suspended. I would entertain another motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we pass General Ordinance number 22, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kane, second by Vice President Cowgill. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
No.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, General Ordinance 22-2024 has passed. Moving into new business, beginning with General Ordinance 23-2024, Re-Element Marion LLC Project Bonds, first reading.
An ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Marion, Indiana taxable economic development solid waste facility revenue bonds, Re-Element Marion LLC project, Series 2024, and the lending of the proceeds thereof, Re-Element Marion LLC and authorizing and approving other actions with respect thereto. Re-Element Marion LLC, the company, is proposing that the City of Marion issue up to $100 million of taxable revenue bonds that will be payable solely from revenues of the company. The city will have no liability on the bonds, even in the event the company defaults on its payments. It is possible that in the future, the company will refinance these bonds as tax-exempt bonds. Thus, the need to have the city issue its taxable bonds now that could be refinanced as tax-exempt in the future. Speaking, City Administration.
That'd be you, Mayor.
That's just the default they put in there. So go ahead, Mayor.
Well, good evening. I won't talk long because the Re-Element team is here, so they'll be available to answer any questions that you guys have to be able to make a correct judgment on this ordinance.
Hi, good evening. If you could just state your name, who you're with, your position, and microphone's yours. If you could just make sure the microphone is on.
It is.
Okay.
All right. My name is Hannah Clendenning. I'm actually with Barnes & Thornburg. We are serving as bond counsel with respect to these proposed bonds. I just want to introduce things real quick before handing it over to the company who can give you guys more detail about the project itself. But just want to reiterate that, first of all, these are tax now, but they can be converted to tax exempt the way we're going to structure them. And then most importantly, these aren't like your usual bonds that you might see that might be payable from property taxes or TIF or something like that. The proceeds of the bond would be loaned to the company, and the way it would be structured is that the company alone would be liable for repaying them. And even if they default on their payments, the city would not be liable for that. Process-wise, this is now sort of the second stage of approvals. The EDC held a public hearing a couple weeks ago, adopted a resolution approving the issuance of the bonds. This is now moved on to the council. We would then ask that you do a second reading at the next meeting. And then after that, the public approval process is done. And then we would hope to issue the bonds in mid-December. So I'll be available if there are any other legal questions as you get more information, but that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Would you like to speak? Yeah.
I'll keep it brief because I know everybody's quite busy and don't want to keep everybody here too late. But one, I want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity. Thank you for accepting us into the Marion community. We acquired the RCA Thompson building, or the prior RCA Thompson building, and have got renovated it. It's actually, I would welcome anybody that would like to come by and see the facility. We're quite proud of the shape that it's in today. Roof's been repaired, lighting is in, power is in, natural gas is in, water is in. And we are prepared to buy equipment. Actually, I've already started procuring equipment for this. But what we do, and just really briefly, is we are bringing back a crucial element to the United States from China. China dominates the refining space for rare earth elements, for battery materials. We have developed a technology alongside Purdue University to be able to do this in an environmentally sensitive way, which we do today. Indiana, next to a kids' gymnasium, next to a church. We bring this back home on China for critical elements that we use within our military applications. We're proud to say today we had members of the Department of Defense in our Noblesville facility seeing the technology, and unfortunately they had to catch flights back because they wanted to come to Marion, which I was actually super excited to show them our facility, but they will be back. They need what we offer. The military relies upon China today, and that's unacceptable. Made in America is important, and Mr. Fordyce, I agree with you on that. Looking at what we can bring back home.
Clerk, state your name, position, company.
Mark Jensen, Chairman and CEO, one of the co-founders of Re-Element Technologies Corporation.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
If you could just stay right there, just in case there's any questions, any council members with questions? Vice President Cowgill.
Where are you guys at, like, in the market right now? Where you stand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at the battery supply chain and the rare supply chain, it's developing in the United States. And so we're fortunate that we have our first facility in Noblesville, Indiana, which we call our customer qualification plant. The reason we built it there was, one, it was a small plant, but most importantly, we can get through that qualification process. So now we have signed orders, we have customers lined up that are actually waiting on us to produce product today that they're buying from battery material production. So lithium, cobalt, battery material production. So lithium, cobalt, nickel, and then the rare earth oxides, neodymium, praseodymium, dysprosium. But we need the equipment today.
Yeah, and I appreciate, I thank you guys for it. I think we all agree, that's kind of, in my opinion only, that's where we started losing America, is when we stopped making our own stuff here. In 2020, we really felt that effect. We was kind of held captive by everybody else in the world because we don't have it now. So I appreciate you guys. Your technology is incredible. And I'm glad that you guys picked Marion too, so I appreciate it.
Well, I think, and our goal is to utilize, our technology doesn't use that much space, it's also bringing our partners here. Bringing our partners to Marion, bringing our partners to the United States. On Thursday, we'll announce a contract with the largest rare earth magnet manufacturer outside of China. That's coming to the United States. We're excited about that. We need people that have jobs that are sustainable.
So council members, Councilman Fordyce.
Let's talk about your first project. That was supposed to be $286 million.
Which project's that?
The RCA project we issued bonds on.
We issued the TIF
Yeah,
that we received.
46.5 million in bonds, and you were going to contribute 240 million.
We intend to actually contribute quite more than that over time. So it's a phased-in approach, and no different than how you draw up that TIF. So the TIF doesn't give us any money. We actually funded the entire thing ourselves.
Yeah, you bought the bonds yourself.
We bought the bonds, and so the TIF, the way it's written up is you reap that based off property taxes and other taxes over time. So, I mean, our goal is to spend actually quite more than that. This is phase one. No different than, obviously, our council just stated is that, and as the reading stated, was this is a taxable bond. Our goal is then to refinance this as a tax-exempt bond and then continue to deploy additional capital to expand production. As in every business, you don't just go out and build a $1 billion factory before you have $1 billion worth of customers. We have great customers today, but our goal is to stage it. We want to make sure we're creating great jobs that are making money in the process so that we're a sustainable company. And so, yeah, our goal is to continue to be that, to get to that figure. Now, I think we'll actually beat that over time, just given the demand profile that we're seeing today. But I think that we're on track for that.
So you've already completed the remodel and the RCA building, and you've got 300 employees?
Oh, no, I don't think I said that. I think I said what I meant. We've effectively completed the renovations of the first 113,000 square feet. We do intend to hire people as we buy the equipment to start installing it within the facility. And I would say I would love to welcome you to the facility to see the status of it. I think when we bought it, you could have put a horror movie in there.
Yeah,
it was pretty scary.
I've toured it several times.
Yeah, and today I would say that it looks I was just up at the new Stellantis plant, which is owned by Star Group in Kokomo. And I would say I would put this building today on the insides, and there's still some exterior work we have to do, but on the inside, I would say it's on par, if not better than their facility. So I'm quite proud of that.
So this project was going to be completed by December 31st, 2026. You were going to be 100% done and operational, according to the last bond issue.
Was that, what day was that?
December 31st, 2026, you're going to be up and running. It was going to be completely completed, the project. That's a project completion date is December 31st, 2026.
Let's have a conversation then. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, so it's completed.
No, we're not in 2026 right now.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying, you said you've already got it up and running.
No, I did not actually. I said just to be clear, I want to be, maybe I can, if I did say that, I apologize greatly because I don't think that's what I said. What I did say was we have completed the renovations of the 113,000 square feet, and we have been training individuals that live in Marion in our Noblesville facility. With this bond proceeds, we are buying equipment along with our internal capital that we're spending already to buy equipment to start phase one of the project, to start hiring those individuals. 2026, we have quite a bit of time before we get there, and I'm excited to showcase the progress on that. I think we'll be able to achieve quite a bit in that period of time, and I think ultimately create a tremendous amount of jobs in this community.
Is the front, I know you were going to do your home office on the front office buildings there out front at one time. The last bond hearing on your proposal that we issued the bonds, you were going to make that your headquarters.
No, we weren't. I didn't say that. It was actually going to be basically effectively an entrepreneur zone / lab. And we could pull, I think that's public records. I'd be more than happy to pull that up. But unfortunately, people keep coming by and breaking the windows. We keep fixing the windows. We will continue to fix the windows. We are putting in security in place, but I mean, I can't stop vandalism. Listen, it happens in every community. I own buildings in many places, and it continues to continue to fix it. And at the end of the day, I will say I'm proud of what's taken in terms of making it a more continue to grow the development as it turns that corner and beautify the area. We intend to do that at our site. We have 42 acres there. We've worked with Cafe Valley to rent out parking lot space for them to continue to hire at basically no value to us. We work with AEP to continue to occupy the space, Mike Bartram to continue to occupy his space. The reference, the 30,000 square feet roughly building that you're referencing is we will replace the second time. We're putting more security in so that vandals can't get in there, so that people aren't sleeping in that building anymore. And we're excited about that.
Okay, I think on the house that we were out there, it was last summer, you were going to turn it into a community center.
No, I did not say that either. I said we were going to turn it into an entrepreneur zone where other businesses and other companies can come in alongside. Part of it's going to be utilized for our lab space for product development, such as germanium, gadolinium that are used in semiconductors, which Purdue University is highly supporting, and our Department of Defense need. Never turned it into a community center, but opened it up to the community as an entrepreneur zone, which is probably what you're referencing.
Oh, I heard you say a community center.
An entrepreneur zone, which could be occupied by the community, but not a community center. By community center, I would take as like almost a public building owned by a city versus a private enterprise.
So on your first build out, invested into that building already from the 286 million that you were going to invest?
Yeah, so majority of that 286 million goes into equipment. It is up to $100 million bond, which we're issuing here. We've got roughly about $5.5 million into the building to date, not counting the equipment that we've already ordered and started bringing in some of that. But that's just purely into the Marion, the building renovation.
Right. And you say that this $100 million bond is on top of the 286,500,000 that you're going to put into it already.
Mm-hmm.
This is for, so what's this 100 million for?
This 100 million is part of that the 286 million, and I need to go back. I don't know the exact dollar. Quoting me if you have that dollar number, if I stated that dollar number. We have budgets that we're putting in place. Our equipment, here's based on product demand, I think we're going to be substantially above that.
Okay. And this is going to employ an additional 80 people, is what it says? This is going to be the creation of approximately 80 jobs?
This will be approximately 80 jobs in this first phase. Now, any business, and Mr. Fordyce, I'm sure you've either worked for a business or own a business. Businesses build out in stages. Mm-hmm. No different than any of it. I mean, you look at Apple, when they first built their first computer, they didn't have all their employees there that they have today. Our goal is to expand our business appropriately and safely and securely for the people that we employ. We want to make sure that they have long-term jobs, not just throwing money at it and hoping that the demand comes in. If you look at the battery industry, look at the energy supply network, look at our military, they're starting to buy domestic product today. Now, we've signed up a lot of customers and we're getting ready to put those people to work. But at the end of the day, it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, no business was created overnight. I don't know any company in the world that was created overnight and just went from 0 to 1 million. Now, this is phase one. Phase one is this up to $100 million bond, and then continue to expand upon that over time. So our goal is to be well north of those numbers. Now, we gave you numbers that we talked about during the TIF that gave us no money, by the way. Like, didn't give us $1. We can't use that. I can't draw off that TIF. That's not the way it was written. Now, it will give us benefit in the future as we buy equipment on property taxes and other things, personal property taxes, but today it doesn't. It didn't give me money in my pocket. The money we spent was money that our company invested into this community, and we'll continue to invest in this community, along with this bond that we are solely liable for, that the city has no obligations on. This is phase one. This is phase one so that we can continue to grow and rapidly expand to create jobs and then continue to go on to phase two, phase three, phase four, phase five.
How many jobs are currently out there right now?
We're at,
At your facility at RCA?
in Marion, well, we don't have the equipment installed there yet.
You don't have any employees
No,
out there?
no,
at
we
all?
do, we do. We have 6 individuals that work in our Noblesville facility that live in Marion. They're training on our equipment because we're currently operating there. And we have about 4 internal employees in Marion, but we've employed probably about 20 or 30 different employees on the contractor side on the rehab. So roof, power, electrical, those are all local contractors that we've been using. Maybe at times up to 40. That's just on the renovations. That's not working on manufacturing product.
And on these bonds, you got to be paid off December 31st, 2064. 39 years on those bonds.
I would have to check with our council
On
on
the
the
ones
exact
that you're
terms.
asking for, on the 100 million, it says that they'll be paid off on December 31st, 2064, which is 39 years from now.
That's awesome, right? That means we have more capital from cash flow that we can expand into hiring more people in your community. I mean, at the end, let's try to bring in the most attractive capital we can into Marion. We chose to do this through Marion versus the state because we love what's going on in Marion. We're excited about the progress here, and that's why we look to issue these bonds through the city because of what we've experienced so far in the city. Now, what we want to do as a company is we want to bring in the best financing that we can so that our company is in the most stable spot, and most importantly, we can grow rapidly. And so looking at longer term financing for any business, if you could look at longer term financing, you're amortizing your cost of capital over a longer period of time, which means that I am in a more secure spot as a business so I can grow faster and I can employ more people.
So you're saying on the 5 million that's usually invested out there already, was that from the TIF bonds that you've drawn off of?
No, I actually just stated that no, it was from our internal capital. You can't draw off the TIF bonds. Unless you have a mechanism, unless you know of a mechanism, we don't know a mechanism that we can actually utilize those TIF bonds. Those TIF bonds, and I'm not a lawyer and I'm not tax, so don't quote me on this, but the way I understand it is that as we can pull off that to basically reimburse based on property taxes. It's money we spend that then we can get back over time. That's how we utilize the TIF. The TIF didn't give us $1. We did not get $1. Actually, I think we reimbursed the city about $100,000 for legal bills to get the TIF. To date, we've gotten 0 off the TIF, not $1. It has offered our company no money today. Now, we do down the road will get benefit from it, and we're super thankful for that. But it hasn't. The money that we've invested today was from our company.
Yeah, because the assessed value is what's going to pay the TIF bonds back.
As we invest into the building.
Once the
Absolutely.
assessed value, once the assessed value keeps increasing, that'll pay the TIF bonds back.
That, I'm not gonna get it, I would have to pull up somebody much smarter on the finance side than myself, but we have not drawn on the TIF bonds. The bonds we can recoup our property taxes off the TIF. The TIF today has $0 to us. We've not gotten $1 from it.
So do you anticipate putting the 240 million in it, like initially was in the initial proposal?
Was it 240 or 286?
It was 240, and then with the $46.5 million in the TIF bonds, it was 286,500,000 total investment into the property.
And your question is, do I intend to invest that?
I'm just saying, where are we at as far as, scheduling of when that's going to be completed? Do you look for it to be completed by December 31st of 2026?
I think this is phase 1 of that. Our goal is to grow as rapidly as our business can support based on the market conditions, which are volatile.
Okay.
Now, we're excited about where we're at. We're excited that we're bringing a solution to the United States that does not exist today. And because of that, we're getting a lot of attraction from a lot of really big customers. Do we believe we can hit that metric? We do. But phase 1 is today. Phase 1 is why we're here today of talking about issuing up to $100 million of taxable bonds, which could then refinance with tax exempt bonds to bring down more capital into this community. And then continue to hire more people and invest more capital as we continue to expand.
Okay.
Phase 1 is going to use about 30,000 square feet of the 400, roughly 1,000 square feet under roof.
Is that the back end that you had started on?
It's the 113,000 square feet. When we've got renovated pretty much everything, we've replaced the roof and most of it already today, and welcome you to come by anytime. You could actually just stop by, just knock on the door. Usually there's somebody there. But then it's also renovating the office building, which was probably in worse shape than the main building. Unbelievable to think, but it's first phase one will be in that first 113,000 square feet. As you walk in, keep walking all the way to the back.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Excellent. Thank you for your questions.
Thank you, Councilman Fordyce. Any other council members with questions?
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
would it be possible to get a timeline, first quarter 2025, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, an approximate timeline of your progress as you move forward, considering this does pass? Is that possible?
I mean, we are currently working with a group called Hilltop Securities out of Texas. They issue municipal bonds all throughout the country, and Morgan Stanley as well. We brought in two investment banks to support this. Just given the profile nature of it, they asked to be involved, and we're excited to have them involved. They are currently out there talking to investors about this. So our goal is to close the initial bond, assuming this passes, assuming we get support, and we're targeting in December, potentially in January. And so obviously you got holidays in there and some other factors, so I want to be careful. Maybe it may take an extra 30, 60 days. I've been in the business world, entrepreneur for over 20 years, and if everything always worked out on paper exactly as we said, sometimes better, sometimes worse. But we do anticipate closing this bond. We already have the equipment scoped, and we already have customers that want products. So, our goal is to have phase one of this bond executed in the first quarter and be operating in the second half of next year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other council members?
Have a lot of people happen again.
The amount,
I'm just talking
yeah.
about the future of this city.
Yeah, to me, what's exciting about that building for us, one, obviously, I can't speak to the legacy of it and the history and what it brought to this community, and then the downfall when those jobs went to China. That's god awful.
Right.
And I hope that never happens again in our country. What I can say is that it will create a lot of jobs between ReElement, but also what we bring to the table. We release the bottleneck. The bottleneck is getting the refined product that can be used in manufacturing. So we are talking to manufacturing partners, including a company I sit on the board of, a company called AML, about coming to Marion as well. Maybe not in the RCA building, but maybe next door. They want to be close to where they get it because we're reducing supply chain risks. We want to reduce transportation. We want to reduce all those costs. I think at peak the numbers that I've been quoted or told was about 6,000 employees were at RCA. That's a lot of people. I don't want to misrepresent anybody. I don't think we can get to that number. We do try to use automation. We try to be cost effective, but
What number do you shoot for?
I don't want Mr. Fordyce to give me a hard time next meeting.
You're the one that made the number.
No, I'm just saying, I don't want to I want to be careful.
You're in writing.
No, and I actually agreed with those. I said it's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen.
Give me a number.
Yeah, I do think getting to that 300 people is a very achievable number. I think beyond that there's significant opportunity for expansion. Including what's taking place over in Kokomo with, Star Group, bringing people, they may not be employed at our facility, but we're helping them too by working with them on some projects that we're working on the bidding side. But it's trying to create that supply chain here that can bring other jobs beyond us, the indirect jobs as well. Most manufacturing jobs create anywhere from 1 to 3 to 1 to 6 indirect jobs for the direct jobs. And we do think we'll have that impact. The people that we're employing, we pay well. We're training individuals that had no chemical engineering degree running a chemical engineering plant that live in Marion today. And they get paid well. And we're excited about that. We want them to be.
Keep coming back and giving us good news. How's that sound?
But we can't do it without you all, so we appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Any other council members? Just have a couple questions. Where's your partnership stand with Recycle Force?
Yeah, so they actually just got a really unique piece of equipment in place on the magnet recovery side. So what we do is we take end-of-life products and or virgin ores and we refine them all the way up. Recycle Force, an absolutely amazing organization. They do pre-processing and full recycling for other products as well, but they just got a piece of equipment in on the magnet processing side, which is an eddy current separation, to be able to extract magnets out of products very, very cost effectively. So Kirk Taylor, our CFO, was just working with, I believe, the chief operating officer. I think their piece of equipment should be commissioned here in the next few months into their new facility that they had built, which is awesome. And so we're working with them on that. We actually are talking about supplying them products that we source already. So we work with Milwaukee Tool, we work with the major automotive, that we get products in that they can break down for us. And they're I mean, I don't know if anybody, for anybody that doesn't know what Recycle Force is, they employ individuals that have had trouble and they help them get back into the workforce. If you don't know about it, look into it. It's an amazing program. But we're working with them on the pre-processing side to feed in. So what we want is either magnets or pulverized magnets on the rare side that can feed up into our supply chain. And they have a piece of equipment that can do that.
Okay. So you said the Department of Defense was at the Marion facility today, is that correct?
They were at our Noblesville facility. They unfortunately had to fly back today, but they will be back out. So our Noblesville, they wanted to see the tech actually operate. And they did want to come to Marion. It just took longer. And by the time they didn't want to miss their flights, but they came in. It was actually an individual that one of them works at Crane. And then the other one flew in. I'm not exactly sure where he flew in from, but was with the Army, obviously Crane's with the Navy. And so we're working with them. They actually have an ad out that they believe our technology fit, which is an appropriations from the military.
And providing that contact with any council member, the Department of Contact?
I would like.
Within the Department of Defense, who else would you work with that would help bring jobs or production to the Marion facility?
Yeah, so the Department of Defense is looking for solutions. They're looking for solutions to buy not from China. So what they connect us with, we are part of the Defense Industrial Base. So we've been approved by that recently, earlier this year. So we work with other defense contractors. We've had a major defense contractor that makes weapon systems and airplane parts and stuff to that extent they actually reached out to Purdue and then came in through us. We work with the automotive industry. We work with Milwaukee Tool, who makes parts. We work with one of the major automotives. We work with, we'll announce on Thursday. I want to be careful just because I'm a public company, the holding company level, that I don't want to disclose things before it's disclosed, but we'll announce on Thursday a large magnet manufacturer that needs products that we produce. We've announced partners with Iris Metals, with USA Rare Earth, with Vulcan Materials that is looking to make magnets for the defense supply chain. And so if you go out there, you can actually see quite a bit of announcements of partners that we have secured, and then we have many others on the cathode active material side for the battery industry that we should be able to talk about here in the next few months as well.
Okay, you say, I'm real careful on wording, you say you work with, but do you guys profit? Are you guys profitable? Are you getting a profit from working with these companies? Are you bringing money and revenue in?
Marion will. Noblesville is about getting our products qualified. Now, when I say work with, I am very careful as well, and I appreciate that. I view our customers as our partners, and we look at it as a collaborative perspective. So one of the largest cathode active material producers outside of China, cathode active material they take our products, they turn it into cathode active material that goes into batteries. So when we say we work with them, it's because we supply them product that they desperately need because they want to buy it from somewhere else other than China, because it's EV tax credits or any of that stuff, if it goes away, they still need domestic products. And I think under the new administration, that's going to be even more demanded of buying domestic. Yes, the Marion facility, the pricing, the contracts we have in place are very lucrative for our company, which also means we can pay people more.
So ReElement's a publicly held company, right?
ReElement's owned by American Resources, the company that I founded in 2015, 16. That is public.
Would you be comfortable sharing the financial report or statement for just ReElement with the council?
I'd have to check with my CFO and my council to make sure from an SEC perspective I can. But
if you could,
yeah, sure.
That would be good. Just a few more. how much money have you already spent on new equipment for Marion?
So we've obviously renovated the building of 5 million, then we have about 2 to 3 million already up in Marion, stored in the other side of the building. But most of the capital that's coming in is alongside this. We also have recently just announced we closed on another $20 million financing, the first phase of which will close fully by Thanksgiving, to continue to buy additional equipment beyond that. And then we've closed another $150 million. We closed a tax exempt bond in Kentucky for our Kentucky facility. That's a $150 million bond.
Is the Kentucky facility re-element?
Yep, it's re-element. So it's Kentucky Lithium under re-element.
Okay. And for specifically to the Marion facility, have you tried to get private loans, sought other avenues for this funding before you explored these bonds?
Yeah, you can get private loans. The challenge with them is the duration, right? So that's going to be, typically a private loan, if I go to a bank, it's going to be a 5 to 6 year term debt that I got to pay back in 5 to 6 years, which means I got to just grow a lot slower. Obviously, with the reason we're able to track this capital, which is, we're issuing it. We're responsible for it. Is it gives us a longer duration, which means we spread out the payback period over a much longer time, so it's a better bond, better financing for us. That we want to bring the best financing to Marion.
Great, thank you. That's all the questions I have. Any other council members? I appreciate it. Thank you so much for answering the questions.
Excellent. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Any council members, any other discussion? I will just state that today I will vote yes for this just to get to a second reading public hearing. I do have a lot of questions and would like some of that information I asked for, and I would like to connect with you guys sometime between now and the next meeting to just get better understanding of your operations before I'd be totally comfortable passing this along. So that being said, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we pass general ordinance number 23, 2024 to second reading and public.
Motion by Councilman Kane, second by Councilman Brunner. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Agenda ordinance 23-2024 will move on to second reading public hearing. Thank you, gentlemen, for driving and sticking around with us. Moving on to general ordinance 24-2024, amending the maximum salary of appointed officers and employees, first reading.
An ordinance fixing the maximum salary of appointed officers and employees, adding the position of civilian IT specialist. The Marion Police Department's goal is to improve on their internet and technology to maintain their records and processes. The Marion Police Department can benefit from having their own IT specialist to meet all their internal needs. This position would allow this specialist to focus primarily on the Marion Police Department to continue to move them forward with technology as the top law enforcement agency in the county. Speaking, Dave Gilbert, Police Chief.
Welcome, Chief.
Mr. President, members of the council, I appreciate you taking your time. I know it's a long evening. I'll try to be brief. The next two pieces of legislation deal with a civilian IT manager within the police department. By way of explanation or review, you've already passed this position in the budget to fund it. These two pieces will be to formalize that it is in the salary ordinance, which is a companion piece of legislation. So the first one we'll deal with that we're talking about now is 2024. That's going to formalize the position for to be paid through the month of December. And if you read the literature I provided, that will allow us to have an overlap of training time for the existing IT manager, who's a police officer, by the way. He's retiring on January 3rd, hard date, and he will no longer be available. So we don't have the opportunity to have the overlap to train, so we're not starting from ground zero, even behind for whoever we hire. So that's the first piece of legislation, just to formalize the salary ordinance so that we can actually pay in December.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate your packet, very thorough. Any council members with questions? I would entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to pass General Ordinance 24-2024 to second reading, public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fordyce, second by Councilman Kane. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. General Ordinance 24-2024 will move on to second reading, public hearing at the next meeting. Moving into General Ordinance 25-2024, amending the maximum salary of appointed officers and employees, first reading.
An ordinance fixing the maximum salary of appointed officers and employees and the annual payment of flex dollars, $250, to non-contractual full-time employees of the City of Marion, Indiana for the year 2025, adding the position of civilian IT specialist. The Marion Police Department's goal is to improve on their internet and technology to maintain their records and processes. The Marion Police Department can benefit from having their own IT specialist to meet all their internal needs. This position would allow this specialist to focus primarily on the Marion Police Department to continue to move them forward with technology as the top law enforcement agency in the county. Speaking, Police Chief Dave Gilbert.
Mr. President, members of the council, I love how that last part was written. That's exactly right. Be the top law enforcement agency in the county. This is a companion piece to the first piece of legislation. This will formalize that this position will be in the salary ordinance for the entirety of 2025. And that's really about the long and short of it. But I will point out, IT is such a critical part of what we do. This position will also help the city. Danny couldn't be here, but he asked me to speak his endorsement of this. This person we have doing it now is a police officer, which means that officer's not working the street or investigative function. We inherited that situation. That person helps Danny, and the person we hire will also help Danny as needed, and vice versa. So and we have a little bit of redundancy that way. If God forbid that Danny would choose to throw it in and leave us, at the same time that we're in between on this, we would have a real problem. So although this is assigned to the police department because we have the need, we're very, our cooperative mindset is apparent. We've proven that will help. The other thing is, what I mentioned, this will allow us to move away from having a police officer in this position and put that position back on the street or in detectives doing real police work and not sitting at a desk doing nothing, taking nothing away from IT experts, but we'd rather have an IT expert doing that, not a policeman trying to figure it out. So that's the whole purpose. So 2025, you funded it. Now we ask for you to change the ordinance so that we can make it official. I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Any council members? Great. I would entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to pass General Ordinance 25-2024 to second reading, public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fordyce, second by Councilman Kane. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. General Ordinance 25-2024 has gone to second reading, public hearing at the next meeting. Moving into additional appropriation ordinance 36-2024, appropriating $125,000 to Board of Works, first hearing.
An ordinance of the City of Marion appropriating certain funds for the City of Marion, Indiana, and providing for the effective date thereof. The amount of $125,000 to Board of Works for animal care and control. The animal care and control maintains the entire Grant County. They began the year $29,000. August 31st, they were in the negative $74,978. They are still in the need of an alarm system and their backflow system repaired. Payroll and expenses estimating for November and December total 40. Complete payroll for the year and begin 2020 in the positive. Speaking, Dana Galt, City Controller.
Welcome.
Good evening. I think the clerk said it all, so. No, so we didn't want, in the negative.
And finally, no, not finally, we're moving into almost there. Resolution 14-2024, adopting transfers of appropriations for several departments of the City of Marion.
Calm down there, Mr. President, what you doing?
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Marion, Indiana, approving and adopting transfers of appropriations for several departments of the City of Marion, Indiana for the year 2024, as requested by the department heads and forwarded to the Common Council for their approval pursuant to IC 6-1.1-18.6. Certain conditions have developed since the adoption of the existing annual 2024 budget. Therefore, it is necessary to transfer appropriations to help departments meet their needs. Speaking, City Administration.
Good evening. Good evening again. So this is what every year is kind of transferring in the category. So, so Board of Works wanted to transfer Board of Works, Advisory Plan, Legal. We previously had contractual, Michael Haas. So we're paying benefits. And so Police, we want to transfer from salaries to more equipment for some new vehicles. And Parks, we want to bring them into balance, offset some of the splash house expenses. And if anybody has any questions, we're just trying to move funds around to make them, to make it to the end of the year.
Thank you. Any council members with questions? Great. If no questions, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we pass Resolution 14-2024.
Second.
Motion by Vice President Calgill, second by Councilman Kane. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Runner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Calgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, Resolution 14-2024 is passed. And finally, under new business, General Ordinance 26-2024, amending Common Council Rules General Ordinance 6-2013, first reading.
An ordinance amending and restating AM Ordinance 6-2013. The purpose of this amendment is to move up the time for electing a council president and vice president, 6:45 p.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. This allows more time for discussion and a break before the regular council meeting begins. The added language also clarifies that the previous year's council president and vice president will continue to serve in those roles in the event one is not selected at the first meeting of the year. Speaking, Council President Nicholson, or is that right?
Yeah, it could be myself, but I'm going to defer to our Rules Committee Chair, Councilman Kane, from our meeting earlier.
Thank you, Mr. President. Here again, the Rules Committee did meet this evening at 6 p.m. 3 members of that committee are Councilman Calgill, Councilman McKinley, and myself. This was passed for a favorable recommendation to the full council for vote. The wording on this is the Common Council at 6 p.m. prior to the first regular meeting of the year shall choose among its members a president and a vice president, both of whom shall serve until the succeeding year when their respective successors shall be chosen in like manner. If a new president and vice president are not chosen prior to the first regular meeting of the year, then those officers shall continue to serve until they are replaced. The president shall serve as the presiding officer at all meetings of the common council. If the president is not available, the vice president or the president's designee shall preside.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that. We did have a good committee meeting earlier. I'm the one that proposed this, and I think the wording explains it well enough. So I'm happy to entertain any questions. Yeah, Councilman Klein.
I had a library board meeting, and that's why I couldn't make the committee meeting, so forgive me for that. As I read it, and it's just a question, as I read it, it says until they are replaced. So there's another chance for an election later? Do I understand, or if there's no election that night, does the president and the VP continue for the entire year, or is there not? Okay.
So it's good.
I think I understand the language. I just want to make sure I do.
You want to answer it, or I can answer it? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll try to answer that. If I mess it up, I'll let you step in, President. So, for example, a prime example would be what happened when Mr. McKinley and I ran for president. We both were nominated for president. Mr. Marshall's seat was not filled at that time, so we had 8 members of the council voting. We tied as a 4-4 vote, probably 4 or 5 different votes. And so what we presume should happen under this new ordinance is if you have a vote that it goes 2 or 3 times and it's a tie vote for whatever reason, a person can make a motion to adjourn the meeting. At the very next council meeting at 6 p.m., we will try again. Hopefully by that time, that odd number of persons will be at the council instead of having 8 or 6 and having a tie vote.
Oh, that's
Very
what I thought I
rare
understood,
occurrence
yeah.
that has ever happened, but it could happen again. And so we're trying to address that to make the elections flow more smoothly.
Okay, thank you, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and in the event that there's a council member that gets sick, something happens, you can always have an even number and have a tie. So, yeah, thank you for the question. Any other questions? Excellent. If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we pass General Ordinance number 26, 2024 to its second reading and public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kane, second by Vice President Calgill. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, General Ordinance 26-2024 will move to second reading public hearing at the next council meeting. That ends new business, and a couple things that are announcements. Real quick, if everyone could just stay, don't leave yet. We have a good announcement at the end here. But the Marion Public Library Board of Trustees opening is still available. We did advertise it in the newspaper for the council appointee as of yesterday. We had no applications yet. So if you know somebody that might be interested in being on the Public Library Board of Trustees, please encourage them to submit their resume to the clerk's office by November 22nd at 3 p.m. And also, City Council Attorney, same thing applies, deadline November 22nd, 3 p.m. And Marion Christmas Parade is Saturday, November 23rd. That is before our next meeting at 7 p.m. where the Walkway of Lights will open, and we are told that the State Road 9 Bridge will be open by then. Thank you, Mayor, for that update today. So that's exciting. And finally, this one is not on the announcements, a little bit of a surprise. So I want to invite our County Commissioner, Steve Wright, up to the front here. And also Councilman Brunner, would you mind coming up here as well? There's an Easter egg in the room if you look behind me on this photo. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up to Commissioner Wright. If you actually want to come up here, that'd be fine too. Come on here. Okay.
Thank you, Council President and members of the council. Appreciate this opportunity to come to present a special award this past Monday, yesterday. The commissioners, Board of Commissioners met at 10 a.m. and one of the things on the agenda was a resolution. And so I would like to take the time to read this resolution, if that would be okay. So Grant County, Indiana resolution, whereas Jim Brunner, was born in Fort Wayne, Indiana, but has made Marion, Grant County, Indiana his home since 1971, following his graduation from Indiana University. And whereas Brunner has worked for local radio station WBAT for over 53 years as a sales representative, on-air personality, and a sports broadcaster since he started with the station. And whereas Brunner has been the voice of the Marion Giants for over 53 years, calling many of their athletic events, including 7 state championship basketball games and one baseball championship for the Giants. And whereas Brunner also broadcasts basketball and football for Indiana Wesleyan University again, and has the lead broadcaster for national championships in basketball for IW. And whereas his accomplishments have resulted in him being inducted to the High School Athletics Hall of Fame, Marion High School Hall of Distinction, Grant County Sports Hall of Fame, and the Indiana Broadcasters Hall of Fame, as well as receiving the Distinguished Media Service Award, Indiana High School Athletic Association. Whereas he served many terms on each of the Marion Community School Board of Trustees and Marion City Council. And whereas Brunner has served on many local not-for-profit boards and championed many causes for the good of Grant County. And whereas Grant County seeks to honor individuals who have contributed to benefit Grant County for the good of all. And whereas the Grant County Commissioners appreciate the contributions of Brunner and believe specific recognition should be granted. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Grant County, Indiana, that the Highland Avenue Bridge, number 719 in Marion, Grant County, Indiana, that crosses the Mississinawa River, be named the Jim Brunner Bridge in honor, and that a signage be placed on the bridge, all of which is approved by the Board of Commissioners of Grant, Indiana.
And you know, I waited all these years for Bill Fowler to have his name on the bridge, and I didn't have one. Thank you.
The 18th day of November, signed by Ron Stewart, Steve Bright, and Mark Barsley. So congratulations.
Steve.
Yeah, so
We're still live, Jim. I gotta broadcast this live. Sorry.
We're gonna go this way. And we appreciate David White with the Highway Department. And he has graciously made up signs that will go on each side.
How about
of the
that?
bridge.
You share any words?
Oh, yeah,
You have a few words, right?
I got the whole family here. I figured something was going on.
You guys can come on up.
Sure, I got home all right or something.
Yeah.
No, I really appreciate this. Thank you for everybody. You know how much I enjoy this, working with all you guys. So thank you so much, and God bless everybody.
I gotta tell you too, I've known Jim for a long time. We played a lot of golf. I think I won more than you have. But anyway, I don't know of anybody more deserving, Jim, than you of this. What you have done for this community. I could ask you any sport. I think he knows what sports happened in 1700. But you deserve this so much. I'm so excited, and kudos to the council for that. Yes, you deserve that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate everyone for coming tonight.
Got the whole family here, so.
We haven't adjourned yet, so I got to do that. But I do want to get a photo with family while everyone's up here. And yeah, the meeting went late. We appreciate your patience.
All right. You know this was happening tonight?
Would you just mind, this is still live. Just hold it and face it that way for everyone to see.
My grandchildren, Leo and Quinn. I think you guys know Iris and Paige, and my wife Dory. So.
Never mind.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, Marty.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey, it's an honor, yeah. All right. You got to sit down. We still need another vote from you. Thank you, Commissioner Wright. I really appreciate it. All right. Okay, that concludes the night's meeting. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilman Kane, second by Councilman Fordyce. Any discussion? Great. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Divine.
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Meeting is adjourned. And anyone at home, I apologize for the feed. We are working through some kinks. I just want to at least get you some of this information on here through at least my cell phone. So we'll work through the kinks and we'll make this system better. So thank you so much for sticking in with us, and see you next time.